Hi, welcome to Social Research Insights. The mission of Social Research Insights is to promote open source software for data analytics for both academics and corporate research needs. This is in fact part number 4 of my series of presentations on Introduction to R. In my previous video, I explained some certain important functions for beginners, as how to know the session information, and libraries, datasets, and also working with the directories. In this video I'm going to explain how to search for functions. Most of the time when I go through the faculty development programs or management MDPs, people often ask me this question: how do you know that there exists something in our language? Because when you install our language, it is a blank console. I mean, virtually having nothing here, and the users left with no clues as how to perform the analysis. So this is in fact, I mean, the R language is a bit different from rest of the software like SPSS, Vector, JMR, and many other software suites for data analytics, where the people try to do things through pull down menus. But R is not like that, a bit different from the mainstream software suites. So this is often one of the critical questions that I need to answer when people ask me. And in this video I am going to explain exactly how to search for functions that we need for data analysis. I mean, searching for the functions, the other question that you might ask me, that why should we search for functions? R is basically a language of functions, so whatever we do in R, only through the functions available from the packages that we install inside R. So the data analysis that we speak in R is actually the set of tasks that we perform by using the objects that are available through the packages that are installed in R. See the right side bottom window, you can see the packages that are installed in R. These packages will be having so many objects, and a few of the objects are like functions, datasets, and other miscellaneous elements. So the functions are what actually the most important ingredients from a package to perform the analysis. Okay, so the objective of this section is to explain as how to search for functions. So let us imagine that we are thinking to perform some correlation analysis, and I'm going to explain how to retrieve or know the functions available for performing correlation. Okay, the very first function a beginner needs to know is search. This function will let us know, will output the information regarding the sessions information. In my previous video I explained that with the help of a function called session info. So exactly it does, but a bit differently. It will output the information related to the namespace. So we call it as a namespace. A namespace is a space that which has name, where we work through certain objects. One of the official repositories of R puts it that a namespace is a space where the users try to search for the values of objects in a given space that which have name. Say for example, here the bottom of our studio we have the console. This is actually a space where we are performing certain actions, by manipulating, by using the functions, by writing the functions, by also manipulating the objects. So here we have the objects, and we are in search of the values for the objects in this space, and it has some name. So for example, if I search, if I use this command, and it will give me some certain information. And if you observe, the very first element of this output is global environment. This is actually the name of the namespace in which I am performing my actions. The global environment, the namespace, environment, more or less they are similar. The environment, the entire RStudio can be environment, but when we talk of the namespace, we have, see here, approximately 10 name spaces. See, tools RStudio is a namespace, and package stats is a namespace, and package graphics is a namespace. The idea of the namespace is that the objects available from one space may not be able to conflict with the other objects of the other namespace. Say for example, here we have stats. This is actually a package attached by default when we open the R console through RStudio. And there is another package called datasets, or maybe methods, maybe graphics. So these graphics might be having objects, and the stats might be having objects. I mean, surely will be having objects, not might be. Graphics will be having certain objects, certain number of objects, and stats will be having certain number of objects. And when by any chance, if there is an object that which has the same name in both of these packages, they will not conflict with each other. So that is the purpose of doing the actions through the namespaces. Okay. But anyway, that is out of the objective of this video cast. I'm not going to talk much about the namespace in this video. Perhaps I will handle that matter in my other video. So finally, this search is a function that will retrieve some information which will be very much useful for the user in order to know the namespaces that are available for our actions. Action, I mean data analysis. And next one is apropos, and this is a very basic function which we can use in order to know the methods, or maybe the objects that has the name which we are in search of. Say for example, I want to search for correlation. So let me see if I have any object in my art distribution that which has the name car, and which might help me to perform the correlation analysis. So I am going to press Ctrl Enter. See, now we have so many objects here. So this function retrieves a lot of information related to the characters that I am searching for. Say if I look at the output, it is easy for me that there is a function called cancore, there is a function called car, there is a function called car test. So by common sense, it is easy to me to know that there are functions to perform correlation. So now it is very clear that I have a function called car, but you cannot search other way around. You cannot put the entire name correlation. If that is your intended action, I suggest you the browser. Go to the browser, and there how to perform correlation in R. So it will retrieve abundant of information you'll see the abundant of information in the browser, and I'm sure that you will try to solve your problem by picking up a couple of packages along with the functions available through those packages. So this way the apropos will help us to pick up a function which we might use we might be able to use for the correlation analysis. Okay, I'll explain you how to do or perform the correlation in my other video. So this is one typical function which is available in order to, let's say for example, I want to do some regression. So to do the regression, we have a methodology called linear modeling, LM. So it is actually a function available in R. So you can just press search for LM, an object called LM. So you can have so many, see GLM, generalized linear modeling, and LM fit LM. See here LM. So there is you can ask me now a question, sir, how do you know that there is a method called LM to perform simple linear regression? So I suggest you to go to the browser and search and know as how to perform simple linear regression in R. You can just simply type how to perform simple linear regression in R. So there you can find out some relevant information, and I'm sure that you'll come up with this procedure which is known as LM, linear modeling. And now you can come here, and now after performing this, how to proceed for that simple linear regression. It is very simple. Just help and search for LM. So it will retrieve the information for it will let you know how to use this procedure LM in our console. So there's a lot of information through this manual page. So just go down straight away and pick up this example. I'm sure if just a common sense will let you know that just by common sense we can understand the code and perform the simple linear regression. Anyway, I will explain how to perform the simple linear regression in my other video. Let us not bother about this. I'm just trying to explain how to search for the procedures or methods to perform data analytics. So I've explained how to search for methods to perform the correlation as well as regression analysis. And there is a straight procedure, the function in our language, which is called methods for core. Say for example, I know that there is a function, as I explained a minute ahead. I came to know that there is a function called core to perform correlation through by searching online. And now I tried through a function called apropos in order to confirm whether that is there in our console in my system through R to perform correlation. Now let me verify what are all exact methods that I have right now through my R distribution to perform correlation. So if that is the question, then I can use this function called methods. So let me press enter. Here you see I have caught test. That's all. There is only one procedure. This is actually the function which we use in order to perform correlation significant test. So now it is very clear that along with a function called core, we can also use core test to perform correlation analysis in our language. So this is how we can proceed searching for functions. And there are also other methods, like don't worry, we have so many other alternative methods to search for. And I already explained the purpose of this function library. We use this in order to attach a package which is already installed in say here these are all the packages. You can either select the package in order to attach it, but if you want to do, I suggest you to do that through console. So if you want to attach a package through console, just simply use a function called library. This I explained in my previous video. I even explained how to know the datasets and attach the datasets in my previous video. For time being, I skip these two functions. I'll go ahead and explain ls. Both these functions, apropos and ls, are not so alien to the individuals who are familiar with the Linux environment, because we use the open source people, most importantly the Linux individuals who use Linux in their machines. They are very much familiar with these two functions, ls and apropos, because these functions are used in Linux terminal. ls stands for list. It will simply list the user defined functions. Let me show you that. See here, these are the user. I defined these functions while I was working in our language. So it will list out almost all user defined functions in ls. In case if you this is the other alternative to perform the same action. I am trying to search for the user defined functions in global environment. Actually, the right now I'm using my namespace is a global environment, so I need not worry. So what are the other functions that are there in the global environment? Say for example, if I'm in other namespace, if I define my own namespace and I create some objects, so here I can come and mention that particular namespace. That is the objective of using this statement. So we can use this statement rather when we are switching between the namespaces. And anyway, that is a different concept which I don't like to handle in this session. I will explain later. For time being, you just have to remember the ls list. So it will list out all user defined functions in I mean not the functions actually, it retrieve everything, like user defined objects. Say for example, here I define certain objects like x, x1, x2, x3, x4 and z, and there are other. So these are actually, these might be some variables. I don't know, I just have to x. Yes, this is a variable which I define. You see that there are certain elements in this. This might be a data vector I defined earlier, and that is there in my namespace. So the moment I search for the objects, that particular object will be listed in my output. So that is the way of knowing the objects in. So this helps us in order to know the objects in our namespace and use them for the data analysis. Okay. And now, in case if you would like to know the objects in a particular package, okay, we already know that there are, see, earlier while performing the search, search, I told you that there is a package called stats which is attached to my namespace by default. So now I would like to know only the objects. Objects, I mean the functions. Okay, object can be anything. It can be a function, it can be a data set, it can be a routine, it can be any other element available through that package. So now stats is a package which by default it is attached to my namespace. Now I would like to know the objects available through this package called stats. Now this is the ls, just open, I'm going to type it, ls, open the bracket, open the double quotes, package colon stats. That's all. So that's simple, and enter. Now you'll be having I'm sorry, this has no, Windows has a different yes. Now what is the difference between, let me, stats, yeah, package. I did a mistake while typing. It should be actually package. So I missed a. Now you see how many objects we have. We have approximately 446 objects. So these are the methods, functions, datasets and other objects available for our analysis. So let me pick up few of the objects, like for your information, some useful objects. Let's find some useful objects which might help us to perform some. See here we have t-test. So in stats, in package stats, we have a function called t-test, which might help us to perform the t-test if we have some data set. And there is another object called ts. This is actually the function available to manipulate the time series data set. And ts plot, this is to plot the time series data set. And var, variance. And we also must have the standard deviation, mean, median, everything from this package, because this is by default available when we open the RStudio or R console. See, we have ANOVA procedure, we can perform the ANOVA, and we can also, I think, mean, median, mode also must be there. Somewhere we should be having mean, median, mode, all summary statistics. See, we have ANOVA, oh my god, median, mean, somewhere mean. We also have other procedure to search for the functions. Don't worry, I'm going to explain you within no time. But I'm just trying to pick up some me. there must be somewhere there is a median, mode, mean, standard deviation, variance, t-test, and other chi-square test. There must be chi-square test somewhere here. See, chi-square test, all basic canonical correlation. So there are so many procedures which are so much useful for data analysis in stats package. So we can so you can also change the package. You can, instead of stats, you can go for graphics, the other package which is by default. Just a moment before, we have seen the packages that are attached in this namespace. So let me see what are the functions available. See, these are the functions available through graphics. My god, we have abline, which we use in regression to put a line mapped through the data, and arrows, axis to manipulate the axis of a plot, box plot. We should also have the histogram. I think somewhere histogram. See, this helps us to plot the histogram, and we also must be having so many polygon, screen, perspective maps for 3D maps, and we should also have the contour plots somewhere. Contour. So many things, like this package is useful to plot the graphs, so we can know the methods or the functions, or for that matter any object which is available from this package. Okay, and next time going to the other dynamic way of searching for the functions. For example, say I want to pick up a particular function from a given package. In this case, I'm going to search for a method called cbind, which is useful for me to bind the columns. I'll explain you later what is this. In case if you have 3-4 data variables, you can combine the data variables and make it as a data set. Say for example, income, age, and occupation. So all of three can be combined, and together we can make it as a data set. That is the purpose of the function called cbind. So now I would like to explore if this function is there in stats. So if that is my objective, so I have to create an object called x through a specific function called list function string. I mean lsf dot string, str stands for string, lsf stands for list function. So list function as a string in environment as namespace stats. I told you just before a moment that stats is a package attached by default, and it is as a available as a namespace. So they create me an environment for stats as a namespace, and list me all and create that as an object. So in precise, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to retrieve all the objects available from stats and create that as an object, and after I use that object and grep in the sense search for the method which I am searching for. So that is in precise the objective of this exercise. So let me press Ctrl Enter. So now the object X is created. Now let me search for that function cbind, if it is there in my object which is created through the earlier statement. So yes, see here, cbind ts, and there might be also cbind, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is the way we can search for the functions in our language and make the analysis. Okay, thank you.